Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Living Free Joyfully. I am Kim. Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, Living Free Joyfully is a space for those who want to become whole and complete and live free joyfully, right? Who find freedom through spirituality and all sorts of things. So here we discuss 5 aspects to make a whole person, right? We discuss faith, we discuss fitness, we discuss finances, we discuss fun, and we discuss love. So today I want to talk about being mentally fit, and I want to discuss enforcing healthy boundaries. Now, this is something that I have struggled with, and I have asked myself time and time again, how do I enforce these boundaries? How do I do these things in love without hurting someone, without hurting myself? How do I maintain my peace, my clarity, my mental health while still serving others, while still being called to serve, while still doing all these other things that I have to do? How do I enforce my limits? How do I set boundaries? And this is a question that I have really started to ask myself, especially since, I'm on a self-growth journey, a personal growth journey. I'm discovering more and more about myself. And as I'm discovering more about myself, as I am learning about who I am and who I am called to be and who I want to be, and I'm starting to value myself, see myself as something more than just a tool for others to use, I am starting to ask myself these questions, right? What am I supposed to do? So the first thing I had to do was learn what a healthy boundary was, right? It is just a limit or a boundary, really, that we put in place to protect ourselves within relationships. Now, this could be a romantic relationship, a friendship, a family relationship, a business relationship, just a relationship in general. It's just a limit we put in place to protect ourselves so that we aren't giving too much, giving too little, so that we aren't being taken advantage of, or what have you. This is just something that we put in place, a limit that we put in place to say, hey, this is where I am and this is where I'm willing to go. And that is that, right? And so as I'm starting to explore myself or explore my values, explore my wants, expressing my needs, I'm starting to realize that my boundaries are loose. They just out here in the wind flapping. I was available. Everybody had access to me. And that's just not healthy, right? It's just not good for my mental health, my physical well-being. It was just too much. So I was answering all types of calls from friends and people who aren't even really friends. Like, it was just like, I'm the go-to person. I'm the one that you could call on. I'm the one that's going to go the extra mile to help. And this is what I thought I'm called to do, right? I'm called to serve. I must serve. I must bear one another's burden, right? I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to, go above and beyond. I'm supposed to do the most. I'm supposed to do all this for my fellow man. And it sounded good and it looked good, but, in the reality, I'm exhausted. In reality, I am tired. In reality, I'm starting to resent y'all because I'm starting to feel taken advantage of. I'm starting to be resentful because I feel like I'm doing and giving and doing the most for everybody else. And I'm sitting here alone. I'm sitting here tired. I'm sitting here frustrated. I'm sitting here empty. And I'm continuing to pour from an empty cup. How is that healthy? How is that helping anyone? Right? Am I even really doing the most? Am I giving my best if I'm pouring from an empty cup? So you know what? I was like, you know what, God? I know you called me to serve. I know you told me to do these things. I know you said bear one another's burdens and all that stuff. But I am tired. So you know what I'm going to do? Not. So I went from being all loose and all available and everybody having all the access to me being like, nobody has any access, right? You can't call me, you can't text me, don't talk to me, don't do nothing. So I just became about me, right? I want all the rest. I want everything that I deserve. I want it. And it just became selfish, right? And that's not what I want. And that's not what God wants for me. So God convicted me. His Holy Spirit was like, girl, that ain't what I told you to do. And I was like, okay, God, I'm praying, right? And I was like, I want to serve because you called me to serve. And I actually enjoy it. Like, I don't hate it. But I was like running around doing all this, spending money, doing all this stuff. Like, it's too much, God. So how do I set my limits and still exhibit the love that you've called me to show, right? How do I have healthy boundaries and still serve? What am I missing? What do I need to do? And the first thing was like, what was I really doing? Why was I going so hard in the paint? What was I really doing? And I realized it was pride. It was ego. I made me feel good that people were calling on me to help, right? It made me feel like I'm needed, I'm wanted, validation, all those things came with people calling, people texting, people being able to rely on me. And I was like, I got to get rid of that. I got to seek my validation somewhere else. I got to let go of that pride. My ego and my body cannot take this, right? I had to let go of that pride. I had to let go of that feeling of wanting people to want me, right? That people pleasing syndrome, really. So I am a recovering people pleaser. And so as I'm, doing all these things for people, I was saying I didn't want anything in return, but what I was expecting, honestly, was them to validate me, for them to be grateful to me, for them to, always call on me in their time of need. And it's like, I ain't no superhero, ain't nobody's savior. Why was I putting that on myself? So when God showed me, I was like, okay, girl, you need to calm down. Set aside your pride. Set aside your ego. Set aside that need for validation and by pleasing other people, and seek your validation from somewhere else. Know your worth so that you can say no when you need to say no. Or you can say yes when you need to say yes. So what I had to do was go on another little journey and make sure I knew my worth. Make sure I knew how valuable I am within myself without the opinions and the expectations and the anything else from anybody else, right? I needed to make sure that I was good within me so that I could help other people the way they needed to be helped and not the way I wanted to help them, so I could show up and get that thing that I needed. So that was the first step, to just really be like, what was my motive? Was my motive pure? Nah. But now I see, God showed me. He showed me my heart. And okay, I was like, okay, I'm casting down that pride. I'm casting it out. I'm seeking validation from God. Is the only one who can give it to me, right? Seeking it from within myself. Doing what I need to do in order to make sure I know my worth. Speaking affirmations. Praying more. Talking to therapists about it. Doing those things that I need to do in order to become whole within myself. Protecting my peace. And then the next thing I needed to do was find out why I was saying yes to all the people. And I was like, why am I saying yes to all the people? Besides, the pride thing. And I was like, I want to serve, I want to help, but does everybody really need my help? So I started to only say yes to those who really, really needed my help, right? You might need help, but I, in this particular situation, cannot help you. Right? I might be able to point you to a resource or another person or another group that can help you, that can, advance your situation. Not saying you don't need help, not saying that your concerns aren't valid, but am I the right person to help? Like, do you really need help? Or are you just trying to get access to me? You just, for whatever reason, want me to do all this work for you, right? So let me tell you a little story. I had this woman, right, come to me, living with in an abusive relationship, with living with someone. She called me to help her move, right? She found a way to get out. Okay, cool. Help her move. She moves in with this other person. abusive relationship. I at work. I work. And so she's calling me 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, like all types of inconvenient times. And I was answering cause it's like she's in an abusive relationship. She moved from one to another. Like, I'm really trying to help. And then after a while, I was giving her resources, right? I was like, okay, here's, this place, you have a job. She had a job. She had a car. She had, money, maybe not a lot of it, but she had enough. Like, I was like, here are these resources. Here are these groups. Here's these, places where you can go to get help. Like, I can't always be there to help you move. Like, I gotta work. Like, I can't always give you money. I can't always call you a Uber or Cash App you. Like, this is getting expensive. You know what I mean? So I was like, wait. And then she wouldn't ever take advantage of any of those resources I pointed her out to. And then that was the time God was like, hello, she don't want your help. She just wants you to be around to pay for stuff or to do stuff when other stuff fall through. And I was like, what? So then I was like, boundaries set. Don't even got to worry about it. If you really need my help, I'll be there. But if you don't, here's this group. Here's this other resource. Here's the Lord. I pray for you. I'll be here for you. You need to call me. I'll answer when it's convenient for me. But other than that, okay. I mean, I love you. And I pray you take advantage of these other people or take advantage of the resources in the other groups that are available to you. But I am unable to help you. And I was like, God, who am I called to serve? Who am I called to help, right? And it's everyone. But sometimes I can only help the people. I can't help everybody. It's impossible. I can only help the people that genuinely need help. And the only help that I can provide. Like, if you need a ride somewhere, depending on where it is, how long it take to get there, all these things, like, I can help you out. But if you trying to, call me every time you need a ride, hey, I ain't no taxi, I ain't no Uber, and you got a car, calm down. I ain't doing that. I'm not doing that. So naturally, the next step from that is, how do I enforce these boundaries? How do I set them and then make sure they stay in place? And God was like, say no. And no was not really a part of my vocabulary. No was just, it's a word. But as a people pleaser, as someone who needed to be validated, as someone who was seeking that validation from others, why would I say no when I got the chance to be validated, when my pride and my ego can be stroked by saying yes? Why would I say no? And so I had to learn to say no. And now it's not easy, right? It's not easy to say no because I conditioned myself or whoever. I was saying yes all the time. And even when I wanted to say no, I would say yes because I was a people pleaser. I wanted people to like me. And so saying no was hard. Saying no was not fun. Saying no was crazy to me. It was like, why? How do I say it? So I started avoiding people's calls. I started, not responding because I did not know how to say no. And I was like, this is silly. Like, I am a grown woman and I am not, communicating, all because I don't know how to say no. So I came up with some creative ways to say no. And it's like, oh, I would love to, but I have to do blah, 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 blah. And then all the time, then I was like, then I would get, well, when you're finished, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I got to learn how to say no, period. And it be a complete sentence, no explanation needed. Sometimes maybe an explanation is needed, like, I would love to, but blah, blah, blah. And I cannot because blah, blah, blah. However, sometimes no is sufficient. I have to learn to set my boundary and say no. And not only did me learning to just say no, period, to friends, to bosses, to not so close associates, not only did it saying no to them help me learn to value myself even more, learn to value my own needs and wants even more, it helped me to respect when other people said no to me. When I called and asked for whatever, or to do whatever, or for help with whatever, and someone said no, it made me realize that they're not just saying no to say no, right? They might need to protect their peace. They might need to protect their mental health. They might be empty and they need restoration. They need rest in order to be able to serve, right? And so I was like, oh, I don't have to take the no personally. It's not directed at me. It is to protect that person. And so then I was like, so my no, it serves the same purpose. It's to protect me. It's not directed at the other person. It's not to hurt them or to harm them. It is to help me, right? It's to protect me so that when I am able to serve, so that when I can pour from my cup again, I can do it effectively. I can do it efficiently. I can do it better than I was doing it before, because before I was running around with my head cut off and doing like a chicken with my head cut off, just doing the most, being tired, exhausted. And I was thinking, is that really a great example of service, right? Is that really a great example of me giving my best, of me doing what I'm supposed to do? Or is that just me trying to be legalistic and do what I thought was what I was supposed to be doing? And so now that I can say no, which is still a journey, it's still, a growing thing that I have to do, because sometimes I say no when I should say yes, and I say yes when I should say no. Sometimes I enforce the boundaries, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I enforce it too hard, and sometimes I don't enforce it hard enough, right? So I'm still growing, I'm still learning, and I'm still learning how to do it all in love, right? And so that was my main concern. I want my motives to be pure. I want my heart to be seen and heard and felt. When I say no, I want you to know that it's out of love. When I say yes, I want you to know that it is out of love. And I know that I am called to bear another's burden, right? But I also have to be watchful over myself. Even though I'm called to do that, I have to be watchful that I don't give in to temptation, that I don't call it quits because I'm tired from bearing that other person's burden. So there is a delicate balancing act. And I had to ask God, how do I do this? And it was the healthy boundaries, setting them, enforcing them, and reminding people of them by saying no, by saying I am unable, by saying and not at this time, by saying no, period, right? And so as I'm learning, as I'm growing, as I'm going through life, learning more about myself, valuing myself more, holding myself to higher standards so that I can be able to serve better, so that I can do what I am called to do, so that I can be who I am called to be, so that I can be the fabulous, wonderful Kim, right? So you can be the fabulous, wonderful you. Continue to grow, continue to learn, continue to do that self-reflection that is needed in order to protect your mental well-being. It is so important that your mind is healthy. It is so important that you take care of yourself physically and mentally so that you are able to do what you need to do at the time you need to do it. Because if you're tired, if you're exhausted, even mentally, those things can impact your life, and not always negatively, right? You may just not be able to do something today. You may be able to do it tomorrow, right? But tomorrow isn't promised. We have to make sure we're taking care of ourselves mentally so that we can have the fortitude, we can have the strength, we can have everything that we need in order to do what we're called to do when we're called to do it. It's so imperative. It's so important. It is crucial that we protect our peace, that we protect our mental health, that we make sure it is healthy, that we make sure we are well, especially mentally, especially physically. And so that's why fitness is a part of being a whole and complete person here at Living Free Joyfully. Because if we aren't fit, if we aren't healthy mentally, physically, spiritually, then how can we proceed? How can we live? How can we give? How can we serve? How can we take care of anybody, including ourselves, if we aren't fit? How can we give to the next generation? How can we give to even this generation if we aren't fit, if we aren't protecting ourselves? And in this instance, enforcing healthy boundaries. I hope this helps someone. If you have problems enforcing boundaries, learn how to say no. Learn how to value yourself. Learn why you're saying yes to everybody. And this might not be easy. It might be a little painful. You might have to go dig up some roots and kill them things. But it will be well worth it, because then you'll be able to better serve yourself, be better able to protect yourself, and be better able to serve and protect other people. And let's do this all in love. And I love y'all. I love y'all so much. Y'all have a fantastic day, night, week, month. And I will see y'all next time. Make sure you like, comment, and share. Love y'all. Bye.